This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Friday morning. I'm all flustered. If you watch the Handicappers Report before I turned the lights on by mistake, I don't know if that's clear to people. Mormino throws me under the bus even though there was a graphic on the screen so nobody saw it. But I was unplugging my tablet. I was recharging my tablet. Little did I know, but the lights went out in the studio momentarily. But hopefully the lights stay on here because everybody has evacuated the studio. And now I know better than to use that outlet over there. But we will continue on with Racing Across America as we wrap up another week, Friday morning. Thanks for joining us. Coming up just momentarily, we're going to be joined by Ellis Starr, national racing analyst from Equibase. We're going to take a look at some of the weekend stakes action from him across the country, East Coast and West Coast. A little later on, a regular Friday visit from Ron Nicolay at Gulfstream Park. And we'll wrap things up this morning with Brian Spencer from the Fairgrounds. We'll get some thoughts from him. They have a twilight card, an evening card down there at Fairgrounds today, so we'll get some thoughts for him for a little later on. And it is a great weekend of stakes action. As I say, we're going to talk with Ellis as well as Ron about some of the stakes down at Gulfstream, but do want to alert you early on that Sunday card at Gulfstream is the Hurricane Birdie Grade 3 event, $200,000. It will be the career finale for Groupie Doll, so you want to pay attention to that. They wound up with a field of 7 in there, which is kind of surprising, but they added a little bit to the purse money to kind of juice things up. So that is certainly going to be one of the attractions of the weekend, though, the career finale for Groupie Doll. I am told we are now joined by Ellis Starr, again, national racing analyst from Equibase. Good morning, Ellis.
Good morning, Seth. Good morning, racing fans. Thanks for having me on.
And as I noted, it's going to be a fun weekend of racing. We'll touch on some of those bigger events with you, but I think you, like I, probably excited. The career finale of Groupie Doll, I think, is going to add some of the excitement to the weekend, no question about it.
Yeah, it's an important race. It's nice to see her go out. I don't know, it's always that question of the swan song and whether someone wants to, out to shoot the sheriff, so to speak. So we'll have to see. There are some good horses in that race, and she's going to have to be on her game. But on paper, she does look to have the edge as usual.
Yeah, I just applaud the connections for bringing her back for these 2 races since they made the purchase at the auction for a high price. Because it's just fun to see her again before she heads off to the breeding shed. And as I say, that adds some excitement to the weekend. But let's get to what will be the highlight on Sunday. Fox Sports is going to kick off their Jockey Club Racing Series with coverage of the Don Handicap. And I believe the Don is also the feature race this weekend on Equibase.
Yep, it's Equibase Race of the Week. It should be published sometime at Equibase, and also, of course, America's Best Racing, which is sponsoring with Jockey Club the Fox Sports 1 series, and looking forward to a big race here. I think it's. I'm very happily surprised that they drew 11, and there's some competition here.
Yeah, and let's take a look and get some of your thoughts. And Ellis, as you mentioned, it's a nice full field. My old buddy Uncaptured, who I've kind of given up on now, but that may be the signal that it's time for him to turn around. Revolutionary on the second start since the comeback. River 7, who last time out in the Harlan's Holiday was so impressive. Romanche from Godolphin and Tom Albatrani. And of course, Will Take Charge. That's where I think a lot of the attention is going to be, the return of Will Take Charge, who could be a real player in the handicap division this year after wrapping up the 3-year-old season so successfully. But while we talk, Ellis, I want to look at one more horse that really attracted my attention. Last out in the House Hope, we're going to watch Lee, who just seemed to have a breakthrough performance last time after moving into the barn of Bill Mott and won the House Hope pretty convincingly. We'll watch that stretch run here as we talk. Lee is going to be the number 6 under Luis Saez. But again, I've named some of them. There are some other horses in here who are interesting as well in the Sunday Don Handicap. How did you see it?
Well, it took a while to go through it and kind of make the layers of gradient horses, of course, with this kind of race. And it's really nice, too, that 6 of the 11 are newly turned 4-year-olds. So the handicap division, so many horses retire at 3 these days. And, of course, thanks to Mr. Horton for keeping Will Take Charge around as well. But it's a very interesting race, and one of the things I like to do at the beginning of the year is look for horses that I think run their best race either recently or at the end of the last year, particularly if they're newly turned 4-year-olds. And, of course, Will Take Charge is one of those. But as you mentioned, River 7's another. And I really think 3 horses here, in order slightly, River 7, Will Take Charge, and Lee stand out against the rest. I really wanted to make a case for Revolutionary. He'd be my 4th pick if I was going 4 deep. He's just a cut below, but his comeback was really good coming off that 7-month layoff last month in the allowance race, beating Falling Sky and Viramundo, who might turn out to be a nice horse as well. But River 7, as you say, as a 4-year-old, they weren't sure exactly what to do with him. I guess at some point he was great at 2. He won the Gray, and then he went off form, came back and almost won the Prince of Wales Stakes, ran okay on turf, won a stake, won another stake, the Commonwealth, the Churchill. But that race at the Holland's Holiday, December 22nd, really was only his 2nd career start on a regular dirt track, and it was a Gulfstream. Joe Rocco rode him for the first time, and he got a 1:15 Equibase speed figure, and as you mentioned, very impressive. Shaba, you think of Shaba kind of as a starter allowance, medium stakes grade horse, the kind of horse that runs in state breds and also Florida state breds and also runs in Claiming Crown, those things. But he's a heck of a horse, and to beat him as handily as he did, River 7 really impressed me. Lee the same way. I mean, certainly no knock on Al Stahl, but when he went to Belmont's barn, took 3 months off, 2.5 months off between the end of October, when he ran 5th in the Fayette behind Nicky Sandcastle, who's coming back on Sunday, and then the Howells Open. This was a new horse, a career best 112 figure. He had won back-to-back twice in his career. His other 4 wins were back-to-back wins, 2 in a row in July and August 2012, 2 in a row in November of 2012, technically, and then on the comeback in 2013. And Mont just turned him around. Now, he does lose Saez to Will Take Charge, but that makes sense, Rosario picks him up, and Rosario rode him to 2 of those wins. So here's another horse that 1-for-1 on conventional dirt, on fast dirt, and wow, a big race. So those 2, and Will Take Charge, who certainly started his campaign off last year nicely. We know he can fire okay fresh, but these other 2 horses, both are as good as he is. So I have to give slight preference to River 7. I'm going to use Lee. I'm going to use Will Take Charge, and I'm going to still consider Revolutionary.
Yeah, I'm with you. Those 4 make the race really, really interesting. And as I mentioned before, Romanche for Godolphin and Tom Albertrani off the big number last time in the Discovery. Now, what was that this horse was running and facing against maybe in the Discovery at Aqueduct? But boy, it was a big performance that could have been also a light bulb moment. I think that Don on Sunday is going to be a lot of fun. And I'll remind people once again, that will be the Equibase feature race of the week. And if you go over to the Equibase website, the selections and analysis free over there. So check that out. And you say that probably be up later today?
Yeah, it's submitted to our departments. Should be up probably about 11 or 12 today.
Sounds good. All right, let's shift our attention to what will attract a lot of attention over on the West Coast this weekend. That's going to be tomorrow, the San Antonio out at Santa Anita. Grade 2 event for a $300,000 purse. They're going to go 9 furlongs, and obviously, Ellis, all eyes on the 2014 debut of Game On Dude, who wound up the 2013 season with that ding-dong battle, finishing 2nd by just ahead behind Will Take Charge in the Clark Handicap. Disappointed once again in the Breeders' Cup, but I guess the Connections want one more shot at that Breeders' Cup, so they're kicking off the season in a spot where they've been successful the past couple of years. As we talk, we're going to go back to the 2013 San Antonio. Game On Dude going to win pretty convincingly as the 5-cent to $1 favorite over Clubhouse Ride, who at this time last year I think had a little bit of something that you could hang your hat on, but it was only a 4-horse field. You look back at Game On Dude's win in this race in 2012, it was only a 5-horse field, and there weren't really any names that step out. Again, this is a 7-horse field, so he's facing 6. No superstars in here necessarily, but I think Blue Skies and Rainbows is kind of interesting. And so you really have to get past Game On Dude in this race, no question about it. But as I say, as we talk here, we'll look at last year's version of this race where he faced 3 others and gets the job done over Clubhouse Ride. What are your thoughts on tomorrow's race?
Well, it's definitely not a single. It closes out the great low takeout pick 5, which is a must-play, I think, at Santa Anita. It really is some inexpensive tickets can be had, but he's not a single because Blue Skies and Rainbows is going to take it to him, and he's going to rate. And Game On Dude does rate, there's no question. It's really a 2-horse race. If you watch the San Pasquale last month and listen to the interview after the race with Martin Pedrosa, I forget who was in the race, but his goal was to get Blue Skies and Rainbows out on top and ensure that either he took out the other contender or he just went wire to wire. And after battling a little bit and really sending into the first quarter, he had the lead to himself. And this horse is now where Game On Dude was a couple of years ago, when Game On Dude couldn't do anything but go to the lead. Blue Skies and Rainbows has a really good cruising speed. So the question now becomes, at equal weights, which is could be problematic, whether Blue Skies and Rainbows can actually hold off Game On Dude in the last 16. And I think he can, watching his last two races. Whether he's bettable to win, I don't know. I'd probably take him at 2-1 or better. But certainly for the pick 5, pick 3, pick 4s at Santa Anita, you've got to use the two horses because, again, on equal terms, Game On Dude is absolutely faster. But when Blue Skies and Rainbows gets an edge in the first half mile, he doesn't stop recently. I mean, the Breeders' Cup Marathon was an unbelievable race. Then he cut back and won the Native Diver in the San Pasqual. So
I agree. It's an interesting race, and with the pace scenario, it adds even a little more interest with it, as you say, with Blue Skies and Rainbows and Game On Dude both having similar styles. Although, as you noted, Game On Dude maybe is a little more tractable now than he was early in the career. All right, let's shift out to it's that time of year. It's Derby Trail time of year, and coming up on Saturday, I think there'll be a lot of anticipation for the return of Bob Baffert's Midnight Hawk coming out of the Win in the Sham that made his career 2 for 2. But I think also Candy Boy for John Sadler is going to attract some interest in here. You have a John Sheriff's runner, Cool Samurai, who took a couple starts to break the maiden and could be interesting. And the other Baffert, Chitu, the number 7 horse, could prove to be a little bit interesting as well. And Ellis, as we talk about this, just want to remind people and watch the stretch run from January 11th, the Sham Stakes. We will watch Midnight Hawk win. First career stakes try, second career race, and did it pretty impressively at the 2 to 5 price. So we'll watch Midnight Hawk win in the Sham. What are your thoughts on Saturday's Bob Lewis?
Yeah, it's a great race. You know, horses like Midnight Hawk go for maiden stake, 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and I think that's going to happen today with Cool Samurai. But I wouldn't argue. Chitu, you mentioned the other Baffert, is actually the fastest horse in the field in terms of his equibase speed figure, but he's trying 2 turns for the first time. He's bred okay for it. Myself and a bunch, he might even be a wise guy horse, Cool Samurai, but myself and a bunch of people were really impressed. If anybody has the opportunity to watch the video of the December 27th race, should probably do it because he made a sweeping move. And Sheriff's a guy that's known for taking his time with his horses. They all tend to have this style. We think of Giacomo and Zenyatta that just come from behind, very relaxed. It was just a maiden win. He beat a very decent horse, the favorite, trained by Baffert, called the Admiral. And I think Cool Samurai is just the kind of horse with the cool head and the style to win this race and stamp himself as a good contender here. Candy Boy, except for the fact that he's been off, well, a couple more weeks than Cool Samurai, really no knocks. He made a really big move from 10th early to lead at about the 5-6 furlong mark in the cash call, settled for second to Share Belief, who nobody was going to beat that day. He's another one, of course, that has a big shot. John Sauer's a little cold, though, at the meeting. I have to remind people he's got 5 wins in 15 seconds. But he should run well. Gary Stevens rides. Midnight Hawk beat a 4-horse field, won in a 4-horse field. The horse he beat, Christo, is okay. Ontology's not much. He got 100 speed figures, so it's pretty solid. But I wouldn't take a short price on this horse and Chitu. So I actually would go 4 deep in this race in exotics, 5, 1, 3, and 7, Cool Samurai, Candy Boy, Midnight Hawk, Chitu. But I'm looking for Cool Samurai to have a breakout race in the Robert B. Lewis.
And it's that time of year. These horses are all lightly raced, and I don't know whether we found the ceiling on them. So this is the time of year, particularly along this Derby trail, when those upsets can happen. And it's always a good idea to try to suss that kind of thing out. And Ellis, I know Santa Anita is one of the tracks you concentrate on for Equibase. So before we let you go, why don't we get some thoughts also on the other stakes race on Saturday, the San Marcos Grade 2 event on turf at 1.25 miles, with a very full and competitive field.
A rare 14-horse field, Seth, which is really nice. And I got to tell you, I usually don't fall in love with my own cards, but I really like my reported Equibase on the various websites for Saturday. I've got a couple of best play races. I've got a horse that's actually in a maiden race that's a half brother sister to almost an unbeaten horse that passed away a few years ago. It should run huge first time out. I had one yesterday at $17. It was a pedigree play, and this is one as well. But in this San Marcos, Geronimo, they have to go through him because he's won $1 million, and his last win came at a mile and 1/8 at the San Gabriel. Bayerano rides him very well. He won the Grade 1 Eddie Reed. He comes home really fast. He gets the last eighth in a little under 11 seconds. So Geronimo, really tough, but there's so many opportunities to make money here. The 13 Tamarain, who when last seen was second, is the favorite after leading late in the Hollywood Turf Cup, and of course ran the streaking Rahi Strada last year in the Arlington Handicap at 10 furlongs. He gets a 22 last quarter. Stevens rides. The 2 Vagabond Shoes, another horse that's really, really nice, won the Del Mar Handicap last year. He's coming back from a few months off. Should run well. And a big long shot I want to throw in for everybody, the number 9, Would You. Anybody's going to play this San Marcos, consider this horse. He was running in claiming races last year, no question about it. Got claimed by a guy named Phil D'Amato, who is the assistant for Mike Mitchell, has a string of his own, a really sharp trainer. This horse had never run well on turf at all. He tried the horse at 10 furlongs on grass in a first-level allowance. He even had him in for the claiming price that day. Horse ran huge, won by 2.5, got a 97 figure, came home in 22 8/10. So sub-23, and this is a horse at 40-50 to 1 that may be part of the exacta or try in the San Marcos.
I like that. Nellis, before we let you go, I'll just touch on, since you watch Santa Anita regularly, how about this kid out there, the apprentice that's popped onto the scene, this Van Dyke?
Drayden Van Dyke, he's getting better every day, very heady, learning patience now. When there's a hole, he waits instead of panics, and he's making less and less mistakes. He's getting some good trainers to give him a leg up. Tom Proctor's been very supportive of him, and I'm really looking forward to this kid riding. We usually don't have, not like in New York and Maryland, don't have a lot of apprentices in California anymore because the jockey colony stuff and the field sizes aren't that big, so it's a good shot. But this kid is a rising star.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons he popped out. It's so rare these days to get a really hot apprentice out there in Southern California, so he's going to be fun to watch. Ellis, as always, we appreciate the visit. Again, we'll tell people to go over to Equibase to find your selections each and every day. The free feature race this week will be the Don. That'll be up a little bit later today. Ellis Starr, National Racing Analyst for Equibase. As always, appreciate the visit. Enjoy the weekend of racing.
Thanks, Seth. Good luck to everybody, and catch a few nice ones.
Absolutely. Ellis Starr from Equibase. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Ron Nicoletti from Gulfstream Park. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Friday morning means a regular visit from Ron Nicoletti of Gulfstream Park. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Very good. And Ron, we also always like to get the Live Vicariously weather forecast. And in fact, prior to getting on the commercial break, my director's in the studio trying to send in his resume to get a job because you were touting the warm weather down there. But give us a little update on what the weather's going to be like this afternoon into the weekend, which is a great weekend of racing down there at Gulfstream.
Yeah, we're going to have a very nice day today. It's warm again, and it's going to be a fast main track firm turf course. Heard the rumor mill that there might be a little bit rain on Saturday, but Sunday is supposed to be a good day, so we're hoping that the rain passes us by on Saturday and Sunday. Of course, we got the Don handicap.
Yeah.
With Will Take Charge. Very exciting down here this weekend.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, we were talking earlier on that Don card, you got the career finale of Groupie Doll, another nice turf stakes on Sunday, and you got some nice stakes tomorrow as well. We'll touch on some of that coming up, but I wanted to get some ideas for this afternoon as well for folks who are going to play Gulfstream. And why don't we kick things off? Let's take a look at the 5th today at Gulfstream, an allowance optional claiming event on the turf at 1 1/16. What was your thoughts in race number 5?
Well, this is where my best bet of the day comes in, and
nice.
It's the 2 Theodos, I think it's pronounced, and this one's going to get Lasix. First starts, it's breaking from post 14. He stalked last time out. He was about 5 wide. He only got beat 4.5 lengths in that race. It was better than it looks on paper. It was similar. It was going a mile. Kieran McLaughlin, I think we talked about this last week. He's up to 36% with first-time Lasix. Luis Saez riding really good form, returning on this Son of Pulpit. So add all those things together. I made the horse my best bet today, and I was, I like this race and getting the Lasix, and it's just been uncanny how good Kieran McLaughlin has been doing with that. And for the try in the race, I used the 7 Ironicus and the number 3 Camden Street. In the 5th race, of course, you got to try and beat Pletcher and Castillo on that 3 Camden Street.
Yeah, well, you always got to try to be Pletcher. That's the mantra. But I like that Theros. Nice little 4-1 on the morning line is a best bet. We always like that. 9th race this afternoon, another allowance optional claiming event, again on the turf. This time they're going a mile. Your thoughts in the 9th?
I went a little to the outside here with number 10, Dene Court. This one was really game in defeat. She set a pressured pace. She was hounded throughout, was beaten the neck at the same level and distance. Mark Cassie, it's the daughter of City Zip, and he's got Jose Lescano, and Jose Lescano was away in Dubai for a week or so. He's an excellent turf rider. I'm always singing his praises. So he's on the 10. Dene Court, I used the number 9, Unbelievable Dream, and number 4, Celestial Kitten on my ticket.
Sounds good. And let's look out at the 10th this afternoon, 10th and final at Gulfstream for Friday afternoon. Starter optional claiming event. A quick 5 furlongs on the turf. And I must admit, Ron, when these turf sprints started to show up a few years back, I don't think I was alone. These were a real puzzle. But eventually, there's now enough of a database, and I think we've now looked at them all long enough that they've become a little bit easier to handicap. What are your thoughts in the 10th?
Yeah, I went with the number 7, Wire Funds. Are going to try and make it 3 in a row at the distance. He responded in the claim by trainer Jorge Navarro with a driving score at the same level, Joe Rocco Jr. The 9-time winner at the distance, Jorge Navarro, known from up there, he's winning races here like at a 36% clip. I used Didn't Take It and the 3 Cactus Sun. With that said about those 5 furlong turf races, we have, I think, 3 on Saturday and 3 on Sunday with 13 runners in them, and they all could win. They are totally impossible. And not also eligible, 13 actual runners. So they're going to be hard to handicap over the weekend.
Yeah, as I say, they become easier, not easy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
Let me make that clear, because they're still not my favorite. The one thing that bugs me is, and it's true of any kind of sprint, but certainly these 5 furlong sprints, any little trouble, you're kind of out of, you don't have time to make things up as you do with a normal 2-turn turf race. You get a little trouble at the start, you can kind of make things up. So you really got to, you're hoping your horse gets out of there. And if they get out of there, these are all ding-dong battles. There's no question about it.
Yeah, when you have 13, turn it for home, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
So.
But they're fun, and that makes them great betting events as well. All right, Ron, let's take a look out at tomorrow before we move on to that nice, or wait, let's go to the Don first, because I have that video replay called first. So let's go out to Sunday. As mentioned earlier, Groupie Doll is earlier on the card. That makes for a great day. You have the other, as I said, the nice turf stakes race, the Gulfstream Park Turf. Tetradrachm in there, I think, is going to be competitive. Amara's Prince for Bill Mott.
Yeah, that's who I picked, Amara's Prince.
Yeah. imagining for Shug McGahee. And I found it really interesting. Boisterous, who I hadn't realized, this is the first time since it's happened, but here's a trainer's change you don't see very often. Boisterous goes out of the McGahee barn and into the Pletcher barn.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. Very interesting move of trainers, but, that's what makes it fun. I love Amiris Prince in there. I really do. I just think this horse hasn't run in a while, but was really impressive last year in the Mark McDermida handicap right here, Grade 2, then went and won that other Grade 2 race in the fairgrounds, and just coming back, Bill Mott has been doing a fantastic job with horses coming off the layoff down here this year.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting horse in that it came over from Europe and was in a couple of allowance optional claimers at Gulfstream before winning that McDermida, and then went over and won a stake over at the fairgrounds. So now 4 for 4 since arriving in this country. As you say, a little bit of a layoff, but interesting and helps make that a very fun race. Again, nice turf stake on the Don card as well. But now let's turn our attention to the Don. And of course, this will be part of that series that kicks off on Sunday, the Fox Sports 1 Jockey Club Series. The Don is the kickoff event. They announced the team the other day. Sounds like a good group of folks that will be down there covering. Talked a little bit about this in the first segment of the show, Ron. And boy, obviously Will Take Charge is going to attract a lot of attention, but Revolutionary, River 7 off that Harlan's Holiday, Lee from the Hal Hope win. I think this race is a lot of fun, and as we talk about it, we'll just go back and remind folks how Will Take Charge wrapped up his 3-year-old season with that ding-dong battle, that nice win over Game On Dude in the Clark at Churchill Downs. And as noted, he's going to attract a lot of attention tomorrow, but it will be a fun, competitive event. What are your thoughts on the Don?
Yeah, he's spotting the field between 4 and 11 pounds, but boy, I was really impressed with that performance, and the Breeders' Cup Classic when he got beat in nose. Then he comes back and, he wins the Clark handicap, as you mentioned, and this horse is just incredible. I can't wait to see him. He's been on the grounds. I haven't had a chance to go on the backside, but they say he's like a big puppy, so we'll see how Will Take Charge does. But I'm enamored with the horse you mentioned in there, the 5 River 7. I thought his performance in the Harlan's Holiday was just unbelievable from the Nick Gonzalez barn. So I got that horse in second. Of course, Will Take Charge. We'll see how, you don't know if he'll acclimate to the track here. He's never been on it. He likes the distance, of course, and everything, but you never really know. So if you're looking for somebody else, River 7, and the horses you mentioned, Revolutionary only beat third in the Kentucky Derby behind Orb. So a very interesting race. You would think it'd be easy with just Will Take Charge here right on top, but there's a couple of horses in here that can run.
Oh, yeah, I think the breakout performances from both River 7 and Lee, and we had Ellis Starr on earlier for Equibase. He's with you. He thinks River 7 off of that big win last time is going to be very interesting. But I think it is absolutely a fun event in there. And folks should remember, as you say, Will Take Charge acclimate to the surface. He's been training up at Oaklawn, and certainly there have been some weather issues up there. Also, he had the van down. Did he arrive, Tuesday or Wednesday?
He arrived Tuesday, I believe it was, Tuesday.
So he's at least had a few days to get his feet under him. But certainly we have our fingers crossed that at the very least he runs well, because I think some of these horses coming out of the 3-year-old division last year, topped by Will Take Charge, are going to add real zest to the handicap division this year. So we're looking forward to it. All right, let's go back and check out Saturday's action tomorrow, because it really a stellar weekend down there at Gulfstream Park. And first up, we'll touch on the Gulfstream Park Sprint, because I do want to mention, of course, our old friend, one of those fan favorites, Jackson Bend is in there. Falling Sky, Brujo de Oleros is also in there. You also have Fort Loudon in the mix. So there's some familiar names, no question about it. The one name that was missing, as I looked at the past performances, where is Rebo Bobo? But then I read they thought it was coming back a little too soon. They're looking at a March stakes down there. So he'll be back, but I still think it's a fun little sprint race.
Yeah, and I'm going with the 9 in here, who's not as accomplished as them. K-Tron is a lightly raced, undefeated son of Distorted Humor. He's making his great stakes debut. We talked to Todd Pletcher, and he said, he would not be putting his horse in this spot if he didn't think he can do it. I just think this horse's 2 races have been incredible. Of course, you got Laugh Track in there, who, was flying in the stretch and got beat just a little bit in the Breeders' Cup over there. So with Laugh Track, the 6 furlong Breeders' Cup Sprint, he's going to stretch out to 7 furlongs like him. And who's been the monster of monsters down here? This Sing Another Song, the 10 horse, has been really, really in good form. So I would not leave him off your your exotic tickets in there, and he's going to be a little bit of a price. I don't know how much of a price. He's third choice on the line, but his performance in the Mr. Prospector was really top-notch. You know, he doesn't have the connections that, you know, people are going to say, oh, Pletcher or something like that. It's trainer Ron Pellegrini with Juan Leva, but this horse ran a really, really good race last time.
All right, yeah, it looks like, again, another fun race on the stakes card over the weekend, and we'll wrap up with one more stake on Saturday, tomorrow, the Swanee River Grade 3 event, mile and 1/8 for a $150,000 purse. And Ron, I thought this race is fun. I can't wait to play this. Repost comes over from Europe for Judd Mott and Bill Mott. Ainsley is kind of interesting, I think. Another horse, Caroline Thomas, beginning of the career, seemed to have a lot of potential, and in the 3-year-old season just kind of couldn't get over the hump for a Barclay tag. But I think Caroline Thomas is just kind of sitting there waiting to validate her early promise. But we're going to take a look at a stretch run here as we talk of Abaco, going back to the Cardinal, Grade 3 event at Churchill Downs in November. And that's one of those races. There are a few on the racing calendar that attract my attention. I think year in and year out produce some nice horses. The Cardinal is one of those at Churchill Downs. I went back 2012, Daisy Divine won the race and followed up the Cardinal with a couple of stakes victories. 2011 Deluxe won. That wound up to be her last start. But the year before that, it was Ask But I Won't Tell. Won the Cardinal, then won the next race, which came up in December, and it was a nice second in a January race. Acoma won, and then came back a few months later and ran second in a nice stakes race. So I think horses come out of that, and then the next 2 or 3 starts can kind of hold their form. And as we talk a little bit here, we will go back and watch Abaco win that Cardinal handicap. That was 2 starts back. She comes back at Gulfstream in the Marshall River, runs 4th, but I thought it was a pretty good effort. And this horse goes out for Shug McGahee, who over the past year or so has really been attractive when you're looking at his turf horses.
Yeah, and this horse, Abaco, beat 1.5 lengths in the Marshall's River, now stretches out to one of its most accomplished distance, 3 starts, 2 wins in the second. So I'm expecting this horse to run very well in there. Shug McGahee, as you mentioned, Javier Castellano, my top pick in the race, along with the 7-horse Caroline Thomas. And then there's a horse for course play in there, the 2 Paranda. 10 previous races at Gulfstream, 5 victories and 2/3. So Paranda just added credence to that horse course theory when she notched her victory. That was on the Gulfstream Park turf in the Philly and Mad, Sunshine Millions Philly and Mad turf.
Yeah, and again, that's tomorrow, the Swanee River. It's nice stakes tomorrow, and certainly, again, with the Don on Sunday. Boy, it's a great weekend down there, Ron. So again, Ron, as always, we appreciate the visit. Good luck with the selections this afternoon, but certainly good luck to you and all the folks down there at Gulfstream Park on the weekend. And with the Fox Sports Series kicking off on Sunday, we'll all be tuned in.
I'll be waiting for your resumes now.
There you go. Yeah,
Take care, guys.
I'm sending mine too. There you go. Ron, thanks. Ron Nicoletti from Gulfstream Park. We'll take our next break. When we come back, we'll shift over a little bit and look at Fairgrounds. Now for this afternoon, they have a Twilight card today. So I think their first race kicks off 5 o'clock their time, maybe 6 hours, somewhere in that vicinity. It's a little bit of a later start this afternoon, though, for Fairgrounds. But we'll check in with Brian Spencer, get some of his thoughts for the Twilight card at Fairgrounds. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Cassano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today. Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America for this Friday morning. Friday morning means a regular visit from Brian Spencer, the paddock commentator down at the fairgrounds. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. And I'm not. You're not in my ear right now, but I heard you on the loudspeaker. So, but Brian, give us a little update. Fairgrounds. What's your weather going to be like today? And I said before the break, you're a twilight card. So it's a 5 p.m. post time your time.
Yeah. So tonight we'll start at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. We have 9 races, and generally the card feels a little front-loaded, so that's probably helpful for the East Coast players. A lot of really good races in the front half of the card, at least class-wise. Still a little chilly here. We got some more freezing rain yesterday, as you know, the winter has been so exciting down here, but at least the sun's out today, so we'll see what happens with the turf course later on this afternoon.
Yeah, and I've been saying it for probably the past week and a half. It's not just you guys. Everybody's got. I think Oaklawn is canceled again today. They've had a couple of cancellations now this week, and of course, Aqueduct at the beginning of the week. Everybody's just. It's a quirky winter. Cold, snow down south. It's also unseasonably cold, and you got some wet weather, so everybody's getting jolted a little bit. But we'll keep our fingers crossed for this evening, as you say, that things turn out well for the Twilight card down there. Let's get some ideas on the Twilight card. Before we do that, though, I do want to go back to last weekend and take a look at the stakes race last Saturday, because it kind of ties in with the jockey colony down there. The Happy Ticket Stakes was last Saturday down at the fairgrounds. It was for 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, 6 furlongs on the main track. And obviously the horse that was going to take a lot of action was the Larry Jones horse, Same Cross, just on a horse for a course kind of angle here. Same Cross came into the race 4 for 4 over the fairground strip, winds up to be the 4-5 favorite in the race. Same Cross is the number 4 horse. As we watch the stretch run here, Same Cross will wind up running second. Pretty much a wire job in here will be the number 1, Warm Breeze, coming off a nice win back at the end of December down at Fairgrounds, and follows that up going back-to-back with wins now at the meet. But as I noted, we'll tie in the jockey riding on Warm Breeze, and again with this nice wire job, just holding the favorite off by a nose. But the rider on the winner, Leandro Goncalves, who's having a pretty good meet down there at Fairgrounds.
Yeah, and two sort of things on that is that it was really nice to see. I mean, I don't want to say it's nice to see Same Cross get beat at Fairgrounds, but it was nice to see Warm Breeze win that race. She looked so good winning that allowance race prior to that, and they just decided to take a shot in that spot with her against a much better group. Opening quarters seemed honest enough, but other than that, she didn't really get pushed along too much. And after the race, Goncalves told me that he thought he was going to win a lot easier in the stretch, but Same Cross came with that patented late run that she always makes at the fairgrounds, and made it a lot more exciting than it needed to be. But obviously the bettors were a little tuned in, as Warm Breeze was 10-1 on the line, and I think paid about $9.
Yeah, and as I say, Goncalves, who in past winters has spent some time down at Tampa and has done very well. Subsequently, the past couple of years, he's been up in Kentucky for part of the year, and I think has really attracted some attention. But now down there at the fairgrounds, sitting probably about 5th or 6th in the standings right now, but making a little noise down there at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, and the thing I like about him is that he rides for just about anyone. You see his name next to all different kinds of trainers, whether they're, he'll ride for Tom Amoss, and then he'll go out and ride for a 3% barn to want to race all meet, and I really like that. And just personality-wise, I run into him on a handful of occasions, on my way in and out of the paddock, and he's just about as humble and nice a guy as you could imagine. He's the only one who had a 5-win day so far at the meet, and just was kind of unwilling to take any credit whatsoever for any of the wins. He just gave it all to the horses. He's just a very easy guy to root for, and I really like the work he's been doing, given the mounts he's been able to get, and just hoping for good fortune for him going forward.
Yeah, as I say, he's been around for a while, and those are the kind of guys that are easy to root for. The workaday guys who go out there, get it done, have a nice steady percentage, and then somewhere along the career they just get the right horse, or they get it in with the right stable, and they kind of get a breakout meters or so, and just move forward from that. And as I say, in Kentucky recently, he seems to have attracted a little bit of attention. So we'll see. And there was a press release that came out, within the past week or so. I believe it was a Fairgrounds press release that talked with Goncalves, and he was talking about, gee, I'd like to get a Kentucky Derby mount. That's what everybody wants. And so we'll keep our fingers crossed there. And certainly with the 3-year-old runners down at the Fairgrounds this year, I think, as I said a couple of times, Fairgrounds in Oaklawn, I think, a couple of salty contingents of 3-year-olds, so maybe he'll get teamed up with somebody. All right, Brian, let's take a look out at this evening for Fairgrounds. You got a couple ideas for us. We'll kick things off in the opener today. It's an allowance optional claimer at the $40,000 level. Scheduled to turf a mile and a 16th. What were your thoughts in the opener?
Well, and just to very quickly touch on that story that you mentioned, if anybody wanted to read that, it was in our barn notes. You can find it at fgno.com under the barn notes section. A really nice story about his past and where Goncalves has come from and where he's going. If you want to go check that out there. But race number 1 today, a horse who's just consistently overlooked on the board, who I think just keeps running really nice races, is the number 7, Skip Berry Wine. Don't know if we'll be on or off the turf later tonight, but I don't think it's going to matter. He was 20-1 last time out and missed by less than 2 lengths to a repeat winner in hard aces, and he's got the right kind of tactical pace. He can take it to him on the front end. He can sit just off it, and I really like the turf race. He ran 2 starts back when he was a close third to Adios Nardo, who since came back to run second in a pair of stakes behind Daddy Knows Best.
And I will also note our buddy Jenny Reese, her husband's horse, Strike Impact, is entered in here. So I'm sure they have their fingers crossed that they stick on the turf this evening, and that's always one that we like to root for. Ran so well at the Fairgrounds last year, and just due to the weather that we talked about before, just hasn't been able to get those chances this year. But always like to root for that one as well.
Yeah, he's one of those neat horses. He's a 10-year-old, obviously, connected with some really great people that are easy to root for also, and has just had a tough run of luck down here with the races he's been entered in.
Yeah, he's not alone. I mean, the turf runners, it's just, as we said, it's been tough weather-wise, and not just there, all over. All right, the 4th race this afternoon, another allowance optional claiming event, again at the $40,000 level. This time they're going to go 6 furlongs. Your thoughts in the 4th?
Well, I think the horse on the outside is likely to take most of the action off of 2 really easy, impressive scores at the meet so far. That's the 6 Lemon Drop Dream, but a horse who I really like in this spot, who should offer a price, especially if Lemon Drop Dream takes all that money, is the number 4 Silver Lining John. 2 starts back, came off the layoff, was pinned down on the inside. I thought he took the absolute worst of an honest pace in that December 23rd race, but then he was passed and he fought back. He missed by just a neck. They shipped him up to Turfway Park, and he overcame a bit of a slow break, a bit of an awkward getaway to get his nose on the wire up the inside in that spot. And in this race, there's a little bit of pace drawn outside of him in Fish Fan, but I think that he might fall into a really perfect trip, and very similar one actually to Lemon Drop Dream from just off the speed. And if Fish Fan doesn't go, Silver Lining John will be happy to. And I think that given the way he ran over the main track in a tougher, deeper, bigger field back in December, I think he rates a good chance here at a pretty square price.
Sounds good. And Brian, we mentioned before the Fairgrounds website. Are your selections there available every day?
They are, yep, usually about 2 days in advance. You can find it under the Racing tab, and it'll say Brian W. Spencer's Picks.
All right, so we certainly want to tout that. Folks can find the selections there every racing day via the Fairgrounds website. And as you noted, I like the Fairgrounds website because there's also a lot of great racing information via the press releases and those kind of blog-type entries and whatnot. So the Fairgrounds Racing website, Fairgrounds website itself, including all of that information. Again, a great place to go to get not only selections, but just a lot of background information on the folks involved down there. So we do want to tout that also. Brian, as always, on Friday, enjoy the visit. Again, we'll remind people today at the Fairgrounds, it's a 5 p.m. post time, their time. That means 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. It's a twilight card. So good luck this afternoon. And again, we're getting closer to getting back to some nice stakes action, which we'll be talking about in the weeks to come, because the 3-year-old trail down there at Fairgrounds is going to be very, very exciting. So again, Brian, thanks for the visit today, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy the weekend, Seth.
Thanks a lot. Brian Spencer from the Fairgrounds. We'll take our last break of the hour. When we come back, some news and notes, and we'll touch on again some of the stakes action over the weekend, give you some previews and some ideas of where to keep your radar pointed, because they're hitting all over. We have the Dearly Precious at Aqueduct, which is an okay little stakes race, but boy, down in Florida at Gulfstream and out at Santa Anita, really a nice weekend to pay attention to. Kicking off again that Fox Sports Series as well. All of that right after this.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to Racing Across America as we wrap up another week, this Friday edition. Just last segment, do a little news and notes. Yesterday out in Dubai, a couple of notable races. The 1,000 guineas, the UAE 1,000 guineas, was won by Itamal, going out for Godolphin and Saeed bin Saor. Itamal, well, I guess not so much on the female side. Sometimes on the 3-year-old male side over there in their UAE Derby, you'll see some horses that'll wind up over here, perhaps trying the Kentucky Derby or Triple Crown races. So maybe, historically, maybe not so much on the female side, but I certainly don't anticipate Itamal coming over here. But Itamal, 3-year-old filly, winner of that UAE 1,000 guineas yesterday. And I say probably not because this is clearly a grass horse, has been racing over in England last year as a 2-year-old at Ascot, Newmarket, Doncaster, and was doing okay in some of those races. 2 races back, won a stake over at Doncaster, and then yesterday gets the UAE 2,000 guineas and winds up, U.S. payout was $2.50, so a pretty overwhelming favorite in there. Also yesterday in Dubai, the Al Maktoum Challenge Round 2. These are some of the horses who certainly on Dubai World Cup night you'll see show up. That race, Round 2 of the Maktoum Challenge, won by Prince Bishop. Who else? Al Maktoum gets as owner, and Saeed bin Saor gets the job done. The house horse, African Story, a Godolphin horse, runs second, also for Saeed bin Saor. Notable also in there, Hunter's Light, who certainly last year showed a little bit of punch at this time of year in Dubai. Hunter's Light winds up finishing 4th in there. And Dunedin, who was the 2011 Melbourne Cup winner, runs 6th yesterday in the Maktoum Challenge Round 2. Prince Bishop wins, and the United States paid $18.80. And not surprising. I mean, if you look at the past performances on Prince Bishop, 2 starts ago, won a race, a little stakes race at Kempton. And Kempton, this is back in September, Kempton is their all-weather track in England. So obviously we're not talking about a horse that's knocking heads with some of the best of the best, although 3 starts back was in against St. Nicholas Abbey, but was well beaten that day. As I say, then what follows that up with a race at Kempton. So, not surprising that Prince Bishop paid a little bit of a price. But again, some of these horses coming out of the Maktoum Challenge races wind up running in some of the better races on Dubai World Cup night. So Prince Bishop, now one that you should be paying attention to going towards that Dubai World Cup night. Conquest Titan, a little news on the 3-year-old Derby Trail. Conquest Titan is announced to be pointing towards the Fountain of Youth, and that's notable because trainer Mark Casse said, coming out of that nice second place finish behind Cairo Prince and the Holy Bull, a nice closing finish that was kind of against what is generally thought of as the Gulfstream Park track bias. Mark Casse wondered if maybe another track might not be better suited for Conquest Titan. But now Casse is saying, he admits, there's a quote in the Blood Horse article, we might have a better shot going to New Orleans with a longer stretch, but we want to keep him at home. We know he loves Churchill Downs, so we're just trying to get him there happy and healthy. And so Conquest Titan, maybe a little bit surprisingly, going to stick in Florida and target the Fountain of Youth next time out of the box. Also want to alert you that the Jockey Club and Equibase have offered up a free app for the iPhone and Android. It's an app that will include video replays, actually full charts and parimutuel payoffs of all graded stakes races. And this goes back to 2010. It's a free app, again, iPhone or Android. You can get it at iTunes. You can also pick it up at Google Play, or there's a web-based version at both americasbestracing.net and the Equibase website. So if you're interested in that type of thing, it sounds like it's free. You can be able to watch on your mobile device or phone graded stakes race replays and get all the charts and information there as well. Very interesting story from, I always find these stories interesting. South China Morning Post, they do a great job covering racing in Hong Kong, and they have some writers there who write some great commentaries too. I found this interesting because oftentimes the folks who gripe about racing in the United States, and believe me, there are some things that racing here can do better, there's no question about it, but there are an awful lot of complaints that maybe are a little over the top. But one of the complaints we have heard numerous times over the past 5 or 10 years maybe are the additional races on race cards. Certainly in the summertime here at Saratoga, we hear it all the time that now the traditional 9 race card has become 10 races and some days 11 races. And there are arguments to be made on both sides of that. I'm not saying that. My humor here was folks point to Hong Kong as being the model, and why don't we do things more like Hong Kong? And again, they do some things very, very well. I point mainly to the Hong Kong Jockey Club website and the great job they do there. But all in all, it's the same all over, because the commentator in the South China Morning Post talks about the Hong Kong Jockey Club now adding a race to various race cards over there. And whereas we complain that there's 10 or 11 races, I suppose typically, I pay attention to Hong Kong racing, but kind of on the higher level, so I'm not really sure day to day. But the way this is written, I'm assuming there are typically 8 race cards, because this writer is upset that they have now gone to 9 race cards. And he says, as far as we can see, having an extra race most of the time is creeping into the region of diminishing returns. Is the handle on what it will be the last race on those 9 race cards isn't particularly healthy, according to this writer. Once you break that down to what's in it for the club, in other words, the Hong Kong Jockey Club, what's in it for the track management? Well, this commentator says it isn't much, but an extra race does impact on racetracks, participants, equine and human public and fan sentiment. And that is exactly the same argument you hear over here, that the extra race, boy, the folks on the backside have to stay around and it drains the fans and whatnot. So again, I just find it a little bit funny, because folks always point to Hong Kong. Look at how well they do over there. Look at the crowds. Look at the handle. But overall, they have a lot of the same problems we have, the very same day-to-day problems. And the track management does things and experiments with things that some succeed and some fail in a very similar fashion to what happens over here. Do want to remind you once again, the Kentucky Derby Future Pool Wager 2 is underway. It started yesterday. It will continue through tomorrow, Saturday. And don't forget, this season they have changed up the future pool wagers. Typically they would go right through Sunday, so you would be able to tomorrow look at the Bob Lewis. No, they are shutting down wagering on these pools this year before the 3-year-old races are being run on the weekends. So this pool will either shut down at 6 o'clock tomorrow or post time of Santa Anita's Bob Lewis, whichever comes first. So keep that in mind. The first day of wagering on the future pool, though, has ended. All others at the end of Thursday's wagering, 7 to 5 morning line, 3 to 5 after yesterday's wagering. And some of the prices became a little more attractive. Cairo Prince as an individual entrant, as you see there on the morning line, Cairo Prince was 8 to 1. After day one of wagering, bounced up to 18 to 1. So again, that becomes maybe a little more attractive. Horse that attracted my attention, after day one of wagering, Tonalist, 50 to 1 on the morning line. Tonalist moved up to 61 to 1. Tonalist is the Clement runner, and there was a press release put out by Gulfstream within the past day or so quoting Clement as being very, very excited about Tonalist. So it's 61 to 1. That one's kind of interesting. Tapiture, 20 to 1 on the morning line after day one of wagering, 71 to 1. So Tapiture becomes interesting as well. Now, that said, this is only day one of wagering. I'm sure that there was not much handle. Things will start to shake out a little more today and certainly by about midday tomorrow. But again, don't forget, it closes no later than 6 o'clock tomorrow. So if you're planning to play into that pool, keep it in mind that things will wind up earlier than they have in previous years. All right, going to wrap things up for Racing Across America for this week. Don't forget the Bet 50, Get 50 promotion continues this month. If you sign up for a new Capital Bets account wagering system, you get $50 put into your account as soon as you wager 50 into the account. So the Bet 50, Get 50 promotion continues. Knockout Challenge continues all this month here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany on Monday. So that'll be coming up this Monday, focusing on Aqueduct races, $100 Knockout Challenge. You see there a rundown of some of the events coming up. There's a fan appreciation coming up this weekend. There are knockout challenges, Showviver contest, and more fan appreciations. There's a few of them this month at some of the various branches. There's a prize wheel coming up here at the Clubhouse Racebook on the 22nd, as well as on the 23rd, a Sunday Syndicate online. All of these events you can find out more about on CapitalOTB.com. Again, there are events here at the Racebook, various branches, and online. A lot of great promotions out there all month long. And don't forget, if you do sign up for Capital OTB wagering account, not only can you participate in that Bet 50, Get 50, but you can jump on board CapitalOTBBet.com, our state-of-the-art wagering platform. All the bells and whistles that you want to enjoy your racing afternoon. Speaking of which, enjoy the racing afternoon this afternoon. Don't forget, the programming continues this weekend. Handicapper support both Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, it's Down the Stretch with Mark Casano. Sunday, Steve Bick and I step back in with Loose on the Lead. Racing Across America every Monday through Friday from 10 until 11 a.m. A little earlier, the handicapper support. So hopefully all these shows all week long gave you some good information, will allow you to enjoy a nice weekend of stakes action. Cash some tickets. We'll see you back here on Racing Across America on Monday morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.